pray.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's needed, and that's what's needed. And you said a real acceptance to that.
Yes, and you know what it was? That the reason they had to not expect Yahweh to win the battle for them, because if they expected it, it would have been egotistical. It would have been for preservation of us for us. Now, and the sages say that the greatest love for the Creator is when you love the Creator even if He destroys you. Y'all see that? Because if you love the Creator to that level, you have no more attachment to this shell. Y'all see that? And you cannot become one with your Creator till you accept that everything about this shell might be obliterated. We might be H1N1 tomorrow. You know what I mean? We might have our arms cut off. You know, we may lose our jobs. And when we can accept that life has a certain flow to it and anything is possible, then they became free. Y'all see that? Yeah. So once he became free, and I got you, once he became free, now Awa, Yahweh, was subject to him. Now, that sounds kind of strange, but that is when we get to stuff like when we begin to understand what it means to be Joshua, son of Nun, or when we understand what it means to be Yeshua, the Messiah. Because you see, both of them you have issues with changing the sun. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Because Joshua froze the sun. That's stopping time, rotation of axis on the solar and galactic level. The sun blotted itself out because of Yeshua. That was because they had no more attachment to this. So now the Creator bows down to them and is subject to them.
You said that as long as we're just living through their acceptance, we are one with them, each other acceptance. Actually, I think that what Joshua and Yeshua did was more of a natural thing than it was directly created. Because I think now in the event of Moses, that was more directly created. When he said, I'm going to destroy them, and Moses said, no, you're not. That's directly created. But I think that Yeshua and Joshua were just dealing with natural events. Showing that they could do, that we have the authority to do what the Creator does in terms of
and that's and exactly what I'm talking about is that when it's talking about Yahweh is a man. You see? What I'm dealing with here is when you're able to reflect his capabilities in creation, to become one with him. And now, if you have the desire in the heart of Yahweh, then you have his energies to act out naturally in the earth. Because yours is his. That's when it goes to whatsoever you ask in my name. Okay? Because when you're talking about whatsoever you ask in my name or whatsoever you ask in my character, then what you're saying is I recognize a place where enlightenment and power of the Creator needs to be filled. There's a recognition of a void in man. Does that make sense? Because if you're asking for something, it's because of a recognition of a lack. Okay, but not a lack in the sense of a selfish, egotistical lack. Talk about a lack in the way of needing to have knowledge of the Creator filled within us to be expressed. Hold on, Ms. Walker.
You just explained. I wanted you to explain what you meant by direct knowledge. But you were just talking about more of a oneness, so that your will is Yahweh's will is your will.
Exactly. So now you are acting on his behalf, and all we're talking about is channeling energies that he's made available to us as vessels to channel energy of the Creator. Being a proper reflector. So we become a moon of the sun.
And a follow-up thing, that really wasn't what I wanted to say. The other interesting thing that I thought I saw in the picture related to the fact that although the people were very spiritual, they did not have that complete oneness with Yahweh. They were afraid of there were animals they were afraid of. There were those dog-like animals that, so even though she prayed after she hurt the animals, it was only after that they had that oneness that they, in sync with the animals, began to be one, even with them.
Yeah. Now I want to hit something with that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Even on, if you look at a human cultural level, when you look at what they did, it very much matches the practices of Africans, Native Americans, indigenous Europeans, everywhere. But this is the thing, because people say, well, they were already spiritual, right? To a degree, yes, but exactly what Miss Barbara was saying is what I wanted to bring up that I couldn't remember. They were in an experience where they were still, to a degree, operating on that stuff unconsciously. You see? And in order to become united with the Creator, you have to choose to connect consciously. Does that make sense? So they were working on traditions passed down. What in Native American, you kill an animal, what you respect it because it's a part of the Creator that is filling you. Y'all remember that with the prayer that you're talking about? When they connected with the beast, they were connecting. You know what I mean? But what is happening now with the situation and turn of events that went down, it caused them to, so to speak, have to reach deeper. You see that? That's why, and I will say this honestly, that's why I always say white people are the trigger for Messiah. Because the rest of the world was still unconsciously just rolling in their traditions, generation after generation. But the white man put the whole earth in a position where we had to dig deeper than just what our tradition of connection was. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Because they threw everyone out of balance.
Yeah.
But without them, nobody would have reached deeper to bring all of this to this point where now we're having an opportunity to harness these energies that was meant for us to harness, not just live within and amongst. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So, assimilation is necessary instead of integration.
Yeah.
Because assimilation throws everything you leave out.
Yes.
Integration is all you can hold to.
Yeah. Yeah. Do y'all see what that means? You know?
So it's not necessary to have your trees torn apart, torn down by assimilation.
That's it.
Right.
And I always go back to the scripture, when the prophetic scripture, when it said to Abraham, your descendants will live in a strange land 400 years. Mm-hmm. And then after that, basically you will come out with their riches, mm-hmm. and you will be free. He told them that they were basically going to go into Egypt, or a place of limitation and bondage, right? The number 400 is significant because in Hebrew it's connected to the letter Tau, which is called the letter of the cross, ironically. Now, what Tau means, y'all remember when it says, I am the Alpha and the Omega? Tau is the last letter, okay? Tau, what it means while I'm writing this 400 in Tau, is that Tau is the letter that means the finalization, the final process of when truth manifests in the earth in its complete form. But it's after it goes through a process of crucifixion and purification. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now what he was saying is not necessarily 400 physical years, because they weren't in Egypt 400 physical years. Neither were we here in slavery for, you know what I mean? Nobody ain't been 400 years. But what it's talking about is throughout different ages, and then take this individually, right? We have to go through a process of being completely stripped of everything we thought that we were, so that we could come to a place of spiritual completion. A complete, this number 400 means a complete crucifixion and purification. So that's what the Creator was saying to Abraham. And we are at that place now. Because when he's talking about coming out with the riches of that strange land, right? What's happening is this. The ego is like our shell. It's what we live on. Alright? Now, but what happens is, once this shell is abolished, right, then what happens is we get the riches that are inside. The riches are hidden inside of the ego. But if the ego is not torn open, then you don't come out with the riches. Instead, you're buried. It's like burying a body of a man who had all kind of potential, but never disciplined himself and tore it out of him.